Hi guys, it's Elise and welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. On today's episode, I'm going to be sharing the most amazingly indulgent no-bake caramel cheesecake. Actually, it's a chopped caramel cheesecake, so it's the best of both worlds. This cheesecake is also the perfect color to turn into a Rilakkuma cheesecake. So I'm going to show you a really easy decoration idea that turns this cheesecake into a super cute and cuddly Rilakkuma themed cheesecake. The things that you're going to need: I've got Oreo crumbs because I'm going with a chocolate base, but any chocolate cookie will do. And I've crushed those really fine. I've separated out a half a cup and I've got 2 cups over here in this bowl. All of your quantities, conversions and measurements I'm going to leave on the MyCupcakeAddiction.com website, so you can head over there to print those out. I've got some softened cream cheese, some whipping cream. I've also got a little bit of melted butter and some gelatin. This is optional, but it's going to give your cheesecake a lot more stability. So if you need to leave gelatin out, you can, but your cheesecake's just going to be that little bit softer when you serve. I've got a little bit of caster sugar or superfine sugar, some milk chocolate, and I'm going to cheat on my caramel a little bit today just for speed and ease and use a can of caramel. The recipe that I'm giving you today is enough for a 9-inch spring-form tin. And when I line tins for cheesecakes, I always give them a spray with some cooking spray. This is going to make sure that when I put down my parchment paper or my baking paper, it actually sticks to the base, which means that I can eliminate any little air pockets that might be in there and get a really smooth finish, particularly around the outside edges of my cheesecake. When it comes to lining the walls, once again, you'll notice I'm smoothing right down around the edges. So with your tin lined, now the base is going to be a really simple no-bake base. I'm just going to pour in my crumb and then pour over my butter and mix it through. What you're looking for is a consistency where it sort of sticks together when you squeeze it, almost like a cake pop or a cookie pop. You want to take your tin and we're just going to pour that base over the tin and then smush it down so that it's really nice and tightly compacted. Make sure I've got it extra compacted just by using the base of one of my containers. I'm going to take all of my cream cheese and pop it into my bowl along with my sugar. I'm going to mix that on a high speed until it's just really nice and creamed together and a little bit light and fluffy. For this portion, you can't over mix it, so don't stress out about timings or anything like that. Once you're happy that your mixture's nicely combined, you're just going to scoop in your caramel. And then we're going to mix it for, I'm going to say 4 minutes on high speed, just to make sure it's really beautiful and smooth. So once you're happy that that's all combined, without actually turning off my mixture, I'm going to just drizzle over my melted milk chocolate. Once that chocolate hits that cooler mixture, it's going to want to set. So if you just drizzle it in while it's still going, it'll disperse the chocolate before it starts setting and going lumpy in your cheesecake. And I'm going to scrape down the sides to make sure that none of that chocolate's getting stuck around the outside edges of my bowl. Add in the last bit of your chocolate and just leave that mixing. And now I'm going to take my gelatin, dissolve it in some boiling water. So the easiest way to do this is not to add the boiling water to the gelatin, but actually sprinkle the gelatin over top of the boiling water because it disperses it a bit more evenly and it just helps it to dissolve without going all lumpy. For the next part of our recipe, I'm going to take that whipping cream and we're going to semi-whip it. So when you semi-whip a cream, what we're doing is we're only whipping it enough that when we fold through the cream to the rest of the mixture, we're not risking over whipping the cream and making your mixture kind of separate and split. Beautiful, so that's my cream semi-whipped. You can kind of see that it falls by itself off my spatula, so you don't want it to be holding its own shape too much, but it's a lot thicker than when we started. It's certainly not liquidy anymore. So for this, I'm going to use my spatula, and I've got my cream, I've got my caramel mixture, and I've got my gelatin mixture, and I'm also going to grab my base. So first of all, I'm going to take my gelatin mixture and I'm going to use a spatula to scrape it in and stir it through nice and quickly. Make sure you're going all the way to the bottom of your container so that it's going right through that cream cheese mixture. All right, I'm happy that my gelatin's all the way through my caramel mixture. So now I'm going to take my cream and I'm going to be a lot more gentle when I add in the cream because I definitely don't want to over whip it. With this one, I'm going to use my folding technique. So big sweeping motions, kind of from the outside of the bowl all the way to the inside. And I want to do that just until I can't see any white rivers of cream running through my caramel mixture anymore. All right, into the base it goes. And if you happen to discover any of your unmixed cheesecake down the bottom where you've got a little bit of discoloration, feel free to just give it a little stir around on top because you really want that top to be all one beautiful uniform color. And then I'm going to use my spatula just to make it as flat as I can, particularly on the middle section because that's where our little Rilakkuma face is going to be. Lovely, and then a couple of hard smacks on the bench just to even things off a little bit more. This is the worst part. This needs to go into the fridge for at least 5 hours, but 8 is better. So it's always better to make this one the night before you need it. When it's cold, I'm going to show you how to decorate it Rilakkuma style, but off to the fridge. To prepare your decorations for your set cheesecake, I've left a little well-sized Rilakkuma template, which you can print out. So I'm going to slide that underneath a piece of parchment paper. And then I've got a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow candy melt just in some bowls. And I've also got a little bit of black candy melt in a Ziploc bag. So I'm going to just take my white and really just blob down a little bit of the white that resembles Rilakkuma's nose. You want to do that white first because we need that to set so that you can do some of the black pieces over the top. The same for his ears, just a little blob of that yellow chocolate, but then I'm going to make it the right shape by just using a toothpick and just kind of pushing out to the little edges and then up to that little top point. And then just to make sure they're nice and flat, I'm just going to kind of shake them around a little bit, and that's just going to flatten off the top so there's no little streaks or anything. Now you've got to wait for those first two bits to set, but once they're set, you can just cut a little tiny corner off your Ziploc bag. And then you'll have to pull back your sheet so that you can see roughly what his little nose and mouth looks like. All right, let those little details set. While they're setting, I'm going to show you how to achieve a really, really simple effect on the top of your caramel cheesecake. So for this, we're going to use almost like a stenciling effect. So you want to take your little Rilakkuma template and pop him down in the middle of your cheesecake, but don't push him too hard because we want him to come off nice and easily. And then I'm going to take some of my Oreo crumbs in a little sifter just for even distribution. And we're just going to pour them in. Once you've got your Oreos kind of in place, you can very, very gently with your fingers just disperse them around, but be careful not to mess up the top of that cheesecake. And it's very important that your cheesecake is completely set at this point. You don't want to be doing this on wet cheesecake. As I'm getting towards the end of my covering, making sure that all the edges have been taken care of, I'm also just brushing off any excess crumbs off the Rilakkuma's face because I don't want those to go trickling back down when I pull his little face off into the really nice light caramel. I only want those Oreos where Rilakkuma's not. Now for the moment of truth. I'm just going to pop a knife very, very slightly under the edge of both of Rilakkuma's ears. So under one ear and under the other. And then underneath his little chin. Lift him up and pull him away. Oh, so cute. I feel like that would work really well for Mickey Mouse ears as well. Making sure that I've got my template handy for reference, I'm just going to take my little set pieces and I'm going to place them down into the right spots on my little Rilakkuma silhouette. Because we've used a spring foam container, it's really easy to get your cheesecake out. You just want to open up your spring, lifting up around the outside. This is about the cutest thing that I think I've ever made. I'm in love with this cheesecake. It's a really cool, unique technique to decorate that really hasn't taken that much time. I can see it working for so many different pictures, images, and characters. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do for 2 new videos every week, including cool ideas like this. And as always, guys, thanks very much for tuning in to My Cupcake Addiction.